All right, we see. We're talking about earlier discernment, and emotion. So uh, that's kind of what we're gonna get into tonight.
Okay.
Discernment and using emotions because emotions force us to make decisions. Sometimes it may or may not be the best decisions. So we want to touch upon that. We definitely want to talk about discernment, understanding the decisions you make according to what you really feel or what you know, and versus making an emotional decision. Because sometimes we can make decisions straight out of emotions, and if we make those decisions straight out of emotions, we start to look around at things and make decisions through that emotion that may not be the best. And we look around and see things aren't as good as we thought they were because we made an emotional decision versus a practical or more logical decision or a decision that's better for us in general, period. So if you could, Aki, could just kind of touch upon it and I'll kind of chime in with it because this is kind of like something Mark Shiriel brought to me this evening, which really made sense. It's like with the COVID virus going on, we're all thinking about, or we're all, not all, but with the COVID virus going around, we're in states of fear. And fear creates an emotion and makes us make decisions. So how should we handle this? So
I probably like most of us, I get a lot of videos in the course of the day through my phone. And a point was made specific to Georgia and a governor, I believe, a governor's decision to get back to what they call the new normal, or start businesses coming back up and what have you. And as I listened, they were citing the types of business. They were talking about hair salons, they were talking about barbershops, they were talking about tattoo places and what have you. And I was just listening to that. And then the next video came in about the stimulus package. So I'm listening and I'm hearing some say, no, we need to stay home. And then others come in and said that it's not really the symptoms that we have been, prompted to evaluate whether it is the virus or not. And she comes in now with blood clots and something entirely different. So what I'm saying is that how can we start now to make better decisions through our discernment power, right? We get a stimulus package on, let's say some of the people, they said Social Security will be getting theirs as of tomorrow, the 29th. Some have already gotten theirs. Now, if you're, you pick up your your bank number or whatever, and you go in and you find that money, then automatically your heart starts beating a little faster. You start thinking about, man, I can get some new shoes. I can go out there and some things. I've been locked in this house for 3 weeks or whatever. Time to party. I mean, what a little bowling go. And my concern is, we are, how would you say, admonished to study history, particularly our history, and look at things that we could have made better mistakes, but didn't. And we get, we hyper people, black people, the drums, the music, the dancing, we're like that. It's easy to get us spear rolling, talking in tongues, etc. So I'm concerned that we bring this forth for your consideration, ours as well, so that give a second, give them, let me think on this a minute. Let me meditate on that. I don't want to be rushed into moving on that. That kind of giving yourself some how would you say, extra discernment priority. Does that make sense?
yeah, it makes sense. It's like we get hyped up and we're quick to get the first piece of information and we run with it. And we don't really discern what the information is or where it's coming from. And then we're getting so much misinformation, we don't understand what's right, what's wrong.
Right.
And so now, if you look at everything that's out there, you got the COVID virus saying it's coming from the 5G network, it's coming from actual corporation, or it's been implanted on us as a society.
Infecting us lies. I
Right.
mean, even the news people,
Right.
the
It's-
doctors, all of them is in.
Right. So much information is coming out. One minute they're saying they know where it's coming from. Next minute they don't know where it's coming from. And one concern that I have is just if we're put on, what they call it, the shelter in place. We put on the shelter in place. 2 weeks ago, the shelter in place was extended. Then I say about 7-8 days later, all of a sudden, the next 3 days, it's lifted. So I understand the economical situation. I fully get that, but you really got to stop and think about this. You know, what's causing these announcements to come out? What's really
Conflicting.
Right, conflicting. 1 minute we're supposed to be all safe, and everybody's got our health at their interest, the best interest. But then the next minute it's like, okay, we got to go back out there and open businesses and get money. Again, I understand that. I understand why, but we really got to use our abilities to discern what's the best for us. Because when we look at this, there's so much information, so much misinformation. What resonates with your spirit? What resonates with you? If you feel in your heart that you should stay home, then stay home. If you feel that it's okay to go out, then go ahead and go out. Because I do work with some medical people and medical professionals, and they tell me that the virus is real. It is affecting people, and so that can't be denied. The question of where it's coming from, how it's being transferred, all that stuff is a question. So we have to use our own hearts to discern what's going on. Talk about the elderly, we talk about the young, we talk about the people with pre-existing conditions. Most of the people that I have seen have heard of through the medical field that are having the problems are the people with pre-existing conditions. So my advice to anybody, if you have a pre-existing condition, use your discernment. It's probably best to stay inside. If you don't have a pre-existing condition and you continue to keep your immune system high, then go ahead and go out, because it's very similar to the flu. If you are a person that hasn't been susceptible to getting the flu or getting sick, and you feel like your immune system is higher, then you should do that. Now, when we talk about the immune system, we have to talk about frequency and vibration, because the immune system is raised when our frequencies are raised. But guess what? If we're in a state of fear, our frequencies go down. So then we're more susceptible to anything. And it's just kind of like if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So this is what's happening. If we don't understand, if we don't really know, then we're just falling for anything that comes to us. So don't let your emotions take over and just say, I'm going to do this because, and you're emotionally charged, because emotions can create and manifest great things for us. But you got to hear what I'm saying. They can manifest for us great things. Great things is the secondary. The emotions can manifest, period. So emotions are going to manifest everything. So if we get into a state of fear, they're going to manifest what we mostly fear. So just be very aware. And so we have to stop and think and stay out of the emotions. And what do we need to do for ourselves? Raise our vibrations, step out of the state of fear. And when you step out of the state of fear, then everything around you builds up. I just did a class last night on breath, and we talked about how breathing increases the amount of oxygen in your body, which increases and expands the cells so that you can create more light. When you create more light, your vibration goes higher. When your vibration goes higher, guess what? Your immune system starts to raise up. So there are many different ways we can look at things and take our times to get information to help us. If we're in fear, take our time, step back, get some correct information about us. How can we come out of fear first? Once we come out of fear, then let's make a decision about what's the best thing for us to do. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, and just giving discernment, just discerning out of a state of radical emotion, discern in a state of sound emotions. But how do we do that? One way you guys can do is just take your time when you get upset, get scared, start breathing. Breathe. When you breathe nice and deep, you can calm yourself down. Then make a decision. Discern what's best for you, because it's your life. And this goes well beyond the COVID-19. This goes into everyday thinking. So just keep that in mind. This is everyday life stuff. This is not just for what we're going through now. What we're trying to show you or talk to you about is how can we enhance your life? How can we make the quality of your life better? One way is to not make emotional decisions and use discernment. And you use discernment when you calm yourself down and put yourself in a stable emotional state. Now, what is a stable emotional state? That's going to be different for everybody, but a stable emotional state is where you're not in a frantic situation. You're not in a panic. You're in a calm, peaceful Zen space. When you feel that, then stop and ask yourself the question, what you should do as far as any situation that you're faced with.
I think too that while we're on the subject of the subjects of emotion and discernment, I think that we should take a step back as well and ask ourselves, how can we use this quarantine situation to our advantage? And one of the points you made was that in the situations where the virus is most effective is with
Pre-existing conditions.
Pre-existing conditions,
Right.
which come into diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, etc., etc. So then, one of the things that I've found that helps to stabilize us is by studying and knowing things. You know, you begin to know your constitution, how fast you can get back after a cold or whatever. You know your constitutional makeup and your immune system. So let's start studying. Let's learn how to transfer negative energy into positive energy. Let's study. Let's meditate. Let's pray.
Yeah.
Let's do good for one another. Get your heart in the right place.
And knowing yourself. And you say when you talk about knowing how long it takes you to come back from a cold,
right?
It's taking your time to be attentive to who you are and what you are. Know yourself. It's like if you learn, okay, if I start doing this and the next day it goes a little deeper and the next day it goes deeper,
Right.
then you know you're getting sick.
Right.
Then you should take some vitamin C or do something to boost the immune system or to head it off. To clean out.
Yes.
But the other thing even too, if you know certain situations trigger emotional reactions. When I talk about reactions straight come from the ego. So when we talk about actions, it comes from the spirit. When we talk about reactions, it comes from the ego because it's a fight or flight. It's a defense mode. So know yourself. If you're in a situation, and we're going to switch around, I know we just talked about discernment, emotion, and we're talking about pre-existing conditions, and now we're talking about how you should know yourself, how you should know what your body is going through. It's like if you don't take account, just like I'll give an example, women in breast cancer, when you all do your breast exams, if you're doing it every day, when you feel a lump or feel something that's tight or not, you're immediately going to know it because you have a baseline. You know what you feel like. You know how things are supposed to be in your body. So when you feel something different, you're able to respond to it. So that's being proactive, and that's not being reactive, because now you're learning your body. You're learning what's going on. You're learning how you should be. And when you're in the normal state, then when you start going out of that normal state, you realize something has shifted, and you can reshift it and take it back to its original state. We talk about the natural state of being, which is the natural state is the most healthy state that we can be in, and that the natural state is embedded in our subconscious mind. So we got to tap into that. We got to learn how to get into the subconscious to bring us to our natural state, and our natural state will then open us up to our highest quality of life or our highest levels of consciousness, because we're in the state of nature, which is natural. If we learn that about ourselves, then we can elevate. So again, it goes into self-mastery, and understanding self-mastery means knowing who you are, knowing everything about you. And as you learn those things, you can start to discern when something is not right, and you can see it automatically. But it comes from knowing yourself. It comes from knowing your surroundings. It comes from knowing the people that you're around. So that's kind of
being familiar with the tools, even the angels that look out for you, protect you.
Exactly.
It's different levels of this that we can go to.
Very good.
You know,
yeah,
it's unending. Ain't so.
Yeah. It's exactly.
Right.
It goes from levels. Like we're talking about the physical body, we're talking about the emotional body, we're talking about the mental body, the mind, and we're talking about the spirit.
Right.
So each one of these categories has a different level. So it's knowing yourself. You have to know yourself 360 degrees. That means completely.
Right.
And this is the beautiful thing about us as human beings or spirit beings. Guess what? We change. You know, that's one thing that we're guaranteed. Nothing stays the same in our lives. Everything regenerates, everything renews, everything shifts, everything changes. So as things are changing, we have to get to know ourselves in that change. And then we can put ourselves on the path to come to our higher self.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Hallelujah. There's one word if you can just repeat it, it's a very powerful word. It's called bitakon Elohit. That means divine security. That's like an affirmation you send out around you, or aura around you, so that you go in the places that might not be set up in a positive vibration. But with this, right, bitakon Elohit, bitakon Elohit. We're going to be teaching some classes that are going to connect the as above, so below very soon. Hopefully this next coming week.
yeah, sounds good. Well, all right, so
as always,
yeah, we appreciate you all
Hava
listening.
Shlema.
Hava Shlema. Yeah, we Baruch Shem El Kadush Hashem to all those that joined us. We thank you very much, and we're going to check us out on Thursday. We'll be back around 8 o'clock again. If anybody has any questions, shoot us some DMs. We'd love to talk to you.
Amen.
Amen.
Peace, blessings, and health.
Favor with that. Y'all have a good night.